If there is one quality that separates the average man from the exceptional, it is this: initiative. The courage to begin, the will to act without being told, the inner fire that says, if no one else will lead, then I will. Let me be absolutely clear. Success begins with initiative. Before strategy, before talent, before even education comes the simple act of starting. Starting before you're ready, starting when it's uncomfortable, starting when others are still making excuses. Now, you might be wondering, but what if I fail? My friend, failure isn't the enemy, inertia is. You can learn from a misstep, but you gain nothing from standing still. The man who develops initiative becomes unstoppable, not because he knows everything, but because he's willing to move forward while he learns. That's the true spirit of leadership. Leadership doesn't wait for permission. Leadership doesn't hide behind job titles or seniority. Leadership begins the moment you say, I will take responsibility, I will find a way, I will go first. I've studied the lives of thousands of businessmen, presidents, inventors, builders of empires, and the common thread isn't genius or luck. It's initiative. It's the boldness to act in the face of uncertainty. Andrew Carnegie, whose influence helped shape this philosophy, once told me, I would rather have a man who can start a task without asking than a man who needs to be led every step of the way. Why? Because initiative multiplies value. In any field, in any business, in any walk of life, those who take initiative own the future. They see problems and offer solutions. They spot opportunities before they're announced. They create momentum where others wait for direction. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Waiting is easy. Acting is hard. And that's exactly why initiative is rare and why it's so valuable. Those who wait become employees of those who act. Those who delay become followers of those who begin. Initiative is what opens the door. Leadership is what walks through it. But make no mistake, you cannot lead until you are willing to move. And not just once, consistently, courageously, willingly. So let me ask you, what are you waiting for? A perfect plan? A guarantee of success? Someone to give you permission? You'll wait your whole life. The world belongs to the doers, the starters, the ones who step forward before they're invited. In this series, I'll show you how to build initiative like a muscle and how it naturally leads to the second half of this lesson, leadership. But for now, remember this. Initiative is the seed, leadership is the fruit, and action is the water that brings it all to life. Too many people believe initiative is something you're born with, that some men are natural leaders while others are simply meant to follow. That's a lie. Initiative is not a gift, it's a decision, and more importantly, it's a habit. It's something you build, moment by moment, decision by decision. It's not a lightning strike, it's a daily fire you choose to light. Let me say this plainly. Every time you choose to act without being told, you strengthen initiative. And every time you wait, hesitate, or avoid action, you weaken it. Like a muscle, initiative either grows or it atrophies. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The modern world has trained most people not to lead. We're taught to stay in line, to wait for instructions, to seek approval, to fear mistakes more than we crave growth. But no man ever built greatness by waiting. No leader ever emerged from a life of passive obedience. So if you want to rise above average, if you want to lead, then you must begin retraining yourself. You must choose initiative even when it's uncomfortable. Let's break this down with examples. At work, don't wait for your boss to assign you something. Look for what's broken, what's missing, what's inefficient, and fix it. In relationships, don't wait for others to reach out. Be the one who initiates connection, who resolves tension, who leads with love. In your goals, don't wait until January, honest, or next Monday, or when the time is right. The time is now, always now. Let me tell you a story. A young man once came to me after a lecture. He said, Mr. Hill, I want to succeed, but I don't know what to do. I asked him, what needs to be done where you are? He looked confused. So I said again, right now, in your workplace, in your home, in your city, what is missing that you could improve? He thought for a moment, then said, well, there's a process at my job that wastes hours each week. I smiled and said, then your opportunity isn't waiting. It's right in front of you. Take initiative and solve it. A year later, that same man was promoted twice not because of his degree or his connections, but because he acted when others waited. Here's the magic. Initiative creates opportunity where none seem to exist. It changes how people see you. It builds confidence. And it attracts trust, because when others see that you take action, they believe in your ability to lead. But even more powerful than what others believe is what you begin to believe about yourself. Each act of initiative becomes proof. I'm not a follower. I'm a creator. I move. I lead. And when that belief is rooted deep, leadership becomes second nature. In the next part, we'll explore the transition, how initiative transforms into influence, how leaders rise naturally when they consistently choose to act. But for now, remember this. You don't wait to be great. You choose to move. You choose to act. And every act of initiative writes the story of the leader you are becoming. Initiative is where it begins. But leadership, real, lasting, respected leadership, is what grows out of that beginning. The world is full of people who start things, but the ones who lead others are those who not only act, but act with purpose, with vision, and with consistency. Let's get one thing straight. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about being responsible. It's not about barking orders or sitting at the top of an org chart. It's about stepping up again and again when something needs to be done, when people need to be guided, and when pressure needs to be faced head on. And do you know how people begin to trust a leader? Not because of their title, not because of their resume, but because they act decisively when others freeze. Let's say you're on a sinking ship. Do you want the guy who waits for the manual? Or do you follow the one who jumps up, grabs the wheel, and starts shouting clear directions? We are wired to follow initiative. We crave the certainty of someone who will move first. That's why initiative becomes leadership naturally. When people around you see that you're willing to take action, take risks, and take responsibility, they begin to follow you. It's instinctive, and once it begins, it builds fast. Now let's dig deeper into what kind of initiative leads to true leadership. 1. Initiative with direction. Acting just to act is not leadership, it's noise. A leader doesn't move randomly. They act with intention toward a goal, a purpose, a solution. 2. Initiative with courage. Leaders act even when they're uncertain. They're not reckless, but they don't wait for perfect clarity either. They move forward through fog, trusting in their ability to adjust as they go. 3. Initiative with service. True leaders act on behalf of others. They don't move to look impressive, they move to lift people, solve problems, remove obstacles. Their initiative is rooted in service, not ego. Let me give you a real-world example. In the early days of American steel, a young worker named Charles Schwab wasn't the smartest engineer. He didn't have the fanciest education. But what he had was initiative. He didn't wait to be told what to fix, he sought it out. He showed up early, solved problems before they were escalated. And more importantly, he took ownership of results. That initiative earned the attention of Andrew Carnegie, who eventually made Schwab the first president of U.S. Steel. Not because he followed orders, but because he led before he had permission to lead. That's the key. Real leaders don't wait for a crown, they act and the crown follows. So let me ask you, where in your life are you waiting to be chosen instead of choosing yourself? Where are you hoping someone else will lead when you know in your gut it should be you? What's the thing you see every day that needs to change, and what would happen if you took the first step? Because every movement needs a leader. Every team needs someone to step up. And every great outcome begins with a single, courageous act of initiative. In the next part, we'll explore how leaders build momentum, how to keep moving forward when the pressure rises, the crowd hesitates, and the stakes get real. But for now, remember this. Initiative earns trust. Trust builds influence. And influence used wisely is the heartbeat of leadership. You've taken initiative. You've stepped up. People have started to notice. Now comes the test that separates temporary motivation from true leadership. Can you keep moving when things get hard? Because let me tell you something, few will. Starting is easy. Finishing is what breaks most people. And leadership? Leadership is not about grand ideas. It's about momentum, that force that builds with every consistent action, that turns a single spark into a roaring fire. Here's what momentum looks like in real life. You show up even when you don't feel like it. You stay focused when others get distracted. You keep going when things get messy, boring, or uncertain. You build trust because people know you'll keep moving no matter what. The greatest leaders in history didn't succeed because everything went smoothly. They succeeded because they kept going when others stopped. Let me give you a truth that will serve you forever. Motion beats perfection. You don't need the perfect plan. You need progress. Daily, steady, relentless. And here's the magic momentum compounds. Every decision to act makes the next one easier. Every courageous move builds confidence. Every step forward increases your influence. Suddenly, people start following you not because you're the loudest, not but because you're the one who actually moves. So how do you maintain momentum as a leader? 1. Set short, clear goals. Don't just focus on the mountain. Break it into steps. Lead your team and yourself through the next move, not just the end game. 2. Celebrate progress. Momentum feeds on visible wins. Track them, share them, remind people we're moving. 3. Expect resistance. The moment you lead, resistance appears: doubt, delay, distractions. Expect it, don't fear it, move anyway. 4. Take responsibility always. Momentum dies when leaders shift blame. Own the result, even when it's hard. The more responsibility you take, the more power you gain. Let me be blunt. If you stop every time it's hard, you'll never finish anything worth building. But if you learn to move through resistance, you'll do what most never dare to try. I've seen men rise from nothing not because of brilliance or luck, but because they kept showing up. Because they turned initiative into momentum, and momentum into unstoppable leadership. So let me ask you, where have you started but not followed through? Where are you waiting for perfect clarity instead of building consistent movement? Where do you need to show yourself and others that you're not just motivated, you're committed? Because the world doesn't need more dreamers. It needs finishers, builders, leaders who move when others stall. In the next part, we'll dive into the courage it takes to lead through uncertainty and why boldness isn't optional, it's essential. But for now, remember this: initiative gets you noticed, leadership keeps you moving, and momentum is the quiet power that makes you impossible to ignore. Let me tell you something, few leaders will admit you will never have all the answers. And if you're waiting until you do, you'll never lead. Real leadership doesn't mean moving when the path is clear. It means moving when it's known and having the courage to figure it out as you go. The greatest leaders I've ever studied all shared one trait. They acted boldly, in the middle of uncertainty. They didn't know exactly how things would turn out, but they knew that not moving was the greater risk. Think about every major breakthrough in history. It wasn't led by people who played it safe. It was led by people who took initiative when the outcome was unclear. The entrepreneur who launched before the product was perfect, the soldier who stepped forward without backup, the parent who made a hard decision for their family's future, the activist who stood alone until others joined. All of them had this in common: courage in the face of the unknown. Let me make this practical. As a leader, there will be moments when you won't have a perfect plan. Others will question your direction. You'll feel exposed, vulnerable, unsure. The stakes will be high, and the pressure will be real. And in those moments, you'll want to hesitate. You'll want to wait until you feel ready. But leadership doesn't wait for comfort. It moves through chaos. Now here's the paradox. People crave certainty, but they follow confidence. And confidence isn't pretending to have all the answers. It's being bold enough to say, I don't know everything, but I know we're not staying here. I'm moving forward and you're welcome to come with me. That is leadership. Let me share a strategy for leading through uncertainty. 1. Acknowledge reality. Don't fake certainty. Be honest about challenges. People respect transparency more than false bravado. 2. Focus on direction, not perfection. You don't need all the details. You need a clear next step. Lead with purpose, not paralysis. 3. Invite ownership. Great leaders empower others. Ask for input. Share the mission. People will support what they helped shape. 4. Stay anchored to values. When the path gets foggy, values become your compass. Lead with integrity, service, courage, and you'll never be truly lost. Here's the truth that changed my life. You can't lead from the sidelines. You must step into the unknown again and again. Not recklessly, but boldly. Not with arrogance, but with faith. Because every act of leadership is a vote for a better future. And every bold move says to the world, there's a way forward even if we can't see all of it yet. In the next part, we'll talk about influence, how leaders inspire action not just through direction, but through belief. But for now, remember this. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act anyway. And leadership isn't waiting for light, it's choosing to be the one who brings it. Leadership is not about control. It's not about position, title, or authority. It's about influence. And influence, once earned, is the most powerful currency a leader can carry. Think about it. Real leaders don't force people to act, they inspire them to act. They don't drag people toward a goal, they pull them with vision, conviction, and belief. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you were deeply influenced by someone shouting orders? Now compare that to someone who lived what they preached. Someone who walked with confidence, made decisions with clarity, and carried themselves with quiet certainty. You didn't follow them because you had to, you followed them because you wanted to. That's the essence of leadership. It attracts, it doesn't demand. It leads through who you are, not just what you say. So, how do you build influence? How do you become the kind of person people naturally want to follow? Let's break it down. 1. Be consistent. Nothing kills influence faster than inconsistency. If people don't know which version of you they'll get today, they won't trust you tomorrow. Consistency builds stability, and stability builds confidence. 2. Lead by example. Don't tell people to show up early, you show up early. Don't talk about work ethic, demonstrate it. Your actions are louder than your plans. Every day, you're teaching people how to treat the mission by how you show up. 3. Communicate belief. Great leaders make others feel capable. They speak vision into tired teams. They say, I see more in you than you see in yourself, and I'll walk with you until you believe it too. 4. Make others feel seen. You don't lead robots, you lead humans. And humans need acknowledgement. Remember names, ask questions, listen. When people feel seen, they rise. 5. Be grounded in purpose. Charisma may catch attention, but conviction holds it. When people sense that you believe in something deeper than just results, they'll lean in. Because they're not just looking for direction, they're looking for meaning. Here's something I've learned over and over. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to lead. You just have to be the most anchored. Anchored in values, anchored in vision, anchored in action. And from that place, your influence will grow quietly, steadily, undeniably. Now be warned, influence is earned, not demanded. It takes time. It requires integrity, and it will be tested. But once you have it, you can move people. You can shift culture. You can lead movements. Because people don't follow ideas, they follow people who embody those ideas. In the next part, we'll talk about how to lead team show to unify individuals toward a common mission and make them stronger together than they ever were alone. But for now, remember this. Power may come from position, but real leadership? It comes from influence. And influence begins with who you choose to become. You've learned to lead yourself. You've learned to move with courage, to act with initiative, and to build influence. Now comes the next level. Leading others not as individuals, but as a unified, purpose-driven team. Because here's a fundamental truth. Great leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. They bring people together, ignite shared purpose, and elevate everyone involved. Anyone can manage a group. But leading a team means turning a collection of individuals into something greater than the sum of its parts. Let's look at what that really means in action. 1. Cast the vision over and over again. A team without vision is just a crowd. Your job is to clearly define what you're building, why it matters, and where you're headed. And then remind them relentlessly. Because people don't wake up motivated every day. They need to be reignited. And that fire comes from repetition, belief, and clarity. 2. Clarify roles and strengths. A confused team is a paralyzed team. Make sure every person knows their lane and why it matters. The best leaders don't try to make everyone the same. They celebrate differences and assign roles based on strengths. You don't need 5 quarterbacks. You need a full team each playing their position with confidence. 3. Set the emotional tone. Energy is contagious. Your team will match your intensity, your discipline, and your emotional state. If you're calm under pressure, they'll trust the mission. If you panic, complain, or waver, they'll crumble. A true leader brings certainty into uncertainty. Not through fake positivity, but through grounded conviction. 4. Create a culture of ownership. The best teams don't just execute, they care. They take pride in the mission. And that pride comes when leaders stop micromanaging and start trusting. Involve your people, ask for input, empower decision-making. When someone feels ownership, they rise higher. 5. Lead with humility. Yes, you have the vision. Yes, you go first. But leadership is not about ego, it's about service. A great leader lifts others, listens deeply, and isn't afraid to say, I don't know, but I'll find out. People don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real and relentlessly committed to growth. Let me share something I've seen in every high-performing team. They are not the smartest, not the most talented, not the most resourced, but they believe in each other. They trust their leader. They feel seen, supported, and stretched. And that kind of team, they'll build anything. They'll fight for the mission even when it's hard because they're not just showing up for a paycheck, they're showing up for each other. So let me ask you, what kind of culture are you building? Are you leading with clarity, courage, and humility? Are you building people or just using them? Because leadership isn't measured by how many follow you. It's measured by how many grow because of you. In the next part, we'll talk about decision-making, how leaders cut through complexity, trust their instincts, and keep progress moving forward. But for now, remember this. A leader's legacy is not what they built alone. It's what they built with others and who they helped those people become. If there's one ability every true leader must master, it's this: decisiveness. The ability to evaluate, choose, and act without paralyzing hesitation. Let me make this plain. Indecision is the enemy of progress. Nothing kills momentum faster. Nothing shatters a team's trust quicker. People don't expect their leader to be perfect, but they do expect them to decide. When you're in charge, the weight of decisions can feel enormous. And yes, some choices carry risk. But leadership requires you to be the one who says, "We've considered enough, now we move." Because action, even imperfect action, is always more powerful than endless debate. Let's break it down. There are three types of decisions a leader must learn to make. 1. Rapid decisions based on principles. In fast-moving environments, you won't have all the data. You must rely on your values, your instincts, and your preparation. That's why character matters, because when you're under pressure, your default will be whatever you've built into your mindset. 2. Strategic decisions based on vision. These are the big calls. Direction, investment, change. They require input, thought, and courage. But they still demand action. Vision is useless if it never turns into motion. 3. People decisions based on alignment. Who you hire, who you promote, who you let go. These choices shape your culture more than any speech ever will. Choose people who align with your mission, not just those who impress on paper. Now here's the real secret. Decision-making gets easier when you're clear on your mission. When you know where you're going, you don't waste time wondering which road to take. You choose the one that moves you forward. If your team doesn't know the mission, they'll question every call you make. But if they do know it and see you moving with purpose, they'll trust your lead, even in the dark. Let me also say this. You will make mistakes. And that's okay, because leadership isn't about never messing you up, it's about taking responsibility when you do. Own your calls, learn fast, adjust quicker. That's how you earn respect, not by being right, but by being real. And remember, the longer you wait to decide, the more energy you drain from your people. They're looking to you for clarity, for certainty. Give it to them. Even if it's not perfect, clarity beats chaos every time. So ask yourself, what decision have you been avoiding? What fear is holding you back from committing? What progress could you unlock if you simply chose and moved? Because leaders don't wait for permission. They assess, decide, and take the next step. In the next part, we'll talk about resilience, what it takes to keep leading when you're tired, attacked, or misunderstood. But for now, remember this. You don't rise as a leader by avoiding decisions. You rise by making them with courage, clarity, and conviction. There's a part of leadership no one glamorizes because it's not shiny, not exciting, and definitely not easy. I'm talking about the grind, the long hours, the quiet doubts, the pressure no one sees. I'm talking about the moments where you question, is this even worth it? And that, my friend, is where resilience becomes your greatest leadership asset. Because every leader eventually faces this truth. You will be misunderstood. You will be criticized. You will get tired. And still you must lead. Let's make this real. It's easy to lead when the plan is working. It's easy to lead when the team is winning, the revenue is flowing, and the path is clear. But true leadership? It shows up when everything feels like it's falling apart. When the project fails, when your reputation takes a hit, when the team loses faith, or when you do. This is when most people quit. But leaders are different. They don't retreat, they reset. They don't whine, they recalibrate. And more than anything, they keep showing up. You want to build trust? Be the one who stands tall when things go sideways. You want to earn loyalty? Be the one who keeps the mission alive when morale is low. You want to lead for decades, not days? Then you must learn the art of emotional stamina. Let's talk about how to build it. 1. Anchor to your why. When things get hard, your what won't carry you. Only your why will. Why did you start? Who are you doing this for? What's the deeper purpose behind your mission? 2. Own your energy. Leadership is a full contact sport. Get your rest, fuel your body, guard your mindset. A burned out leader is a risk to everyone they lead. 3. Ask for support. Resilient doesn't mean isolated. Every great leader has mentors, peers, or even a therapist behind the scenes. You weren't built to carry everything alone. 4. Normalize hard days. You're not weak because you feel drained. You're human. What matters is what you do when those days culminate that they come. I'll tell you something most people won't. The higher you climb, the quieter it gets. Fewer people understand your pressures. More eyes are watching. More weight rests on your decisions. That's why you must build your own fire. External applause fades, internal purpose endures. So let me ask you, what adversity are you facing that's tempting you to retreat? Who or what are you leading that needs you to stay in the fight? What would it look like to stand firm right now when it'd be easier to quit? Because in the final analysis, it won't be your wins that define you. It'll be how you showed up when it was hard. In the last part, we'll bring it all together, how initiative, courage, influence, and resilience create the kind of leadership that not only succeeds, but transforms. But for now, remember this. Leadership isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to keep going, especially when no one else will. You've walked through the fire. You've acted with initiative, led with courage, built influence, and endured the storms. Now we bring it all together because leadership isn't just about what you build. It's about who you become in the process. And more than that, it's about who you help others become. Let me tell you something that no title, trophy, or applause can give you. The deep, quiet reward of knowing that because you stood tall, someone else found their feet. Because you believed, someone else started to believe in themselves. That's the legacy of leadership. Not what you did for people, but what you awakened within them. The best leaders don't create dependency. They create strength. They don't just solve problems, they develop problem solvers. They don't say, follow me because I'm great. They say, walk with me and let's become something greater together. Let's be real, leadership can be exhausting. It costs something. But here's the magic most people never experience. It gives more than it takes. Because when you lead with integrity, consistency, and heart, you don't just succeed, you leave a trail of better people in your wake. Your team becomes sharper. Your family becomes braver. Your community becomes more alive. And when you're gone, they keep building because you built them. So how do you lead at this level? 1. Stay grounded in growth. The best leaders never stop learning, never stop listening. They don't lead from ego, they lead from evolution. 2. Pour into others intentionally. Leadership isn't mentorship by accident. It's mentorship on purpose. Find people, invest in them, challenge them, call them higher. 3. Hold the standard even when no one's watching. Your consistency when the spotlight is off is what builds trust when it's on. 4. Lead with love, not fear. Fear-based leadership burns people out. But love-based leadership, it lifts them, empowers them, strengthens them for life. You want to change your life? Start leading. You want to change others' lives? Lead well. You want to change the world? Raise up others to lead with you. That's the path. It's not always fast. It's not always glamorous. But it's worth it. So now I leave you with this. You don't need permission. You don't need a fancy title. You don't need to have it all figured out. You need a decision. To lead where you are. To act when others wait. To believe when others doubt. To grow when others coast. Because the world doesn't just need more managers. It needs leaders. People of courage, of clarity, of conviction. Be one of them. And always remember, leadership isn't a destination. It's a decision you make every day to rise and to lift others with you.